everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Kristee. If you're not new here, my name is still Kristee. I definitely stole that intro from someone else and I think I've used it before. So we're doing a Q&A, a life update of sorts, but I didn't want to just like ramble about all of the things going on in my brain. I thought it'd be a little nice to do a structured Q&A where you guys can ask me specific questions about what the hell is going on in my life now that I just finished my UNICEF contract. If you haven't seen my last work week in my life, go watch that now. I've been working at UNICEF for the last 4 months in their communications department doing education advocacy. So now that contract is done. It was supposed to be 3. I renewed it an extra month. So now I'm like done. January 31st is my last day. My pass expired, so I cannot get back into the building or any of the UN grounds. I'm doing a Q&A to kind of address what comes next. I know you guys have a lot of questions, how I'm doing, what I'm doing next. Brought my iced coffee here that I feel like is never ending. Do you ever have those drinks where you feel like you drinking a gallon of it and it just doesn't go down? I asked on Instagram and I just posted a story like, hey, I'm doing this Q&A, ask me questions if you have them, and I got quite a few. So follow me on Instagram if you're not already. Do you like the 9-to-5 schedule or prefer a less structured schedule? Love your videos. Thank you. I don't know how to approach this question. I feel like the 9-to-5 structure isn't inherently bad, but it's just so dependent on the person and so dependent on your own preferences and situations. There's differences in all of them. Like some of them you travel for part of it, or some of it you work from home. For example, my friend Haley works for the Census Bureau in DC, and she's like spends most of her time, it's a 9-to-5, but she spends most of her time traveling the country, like doing workshops and stuff. So it's very different. And for me, I preferred the 9-to-5 structure when I was at the State Department because I had more opportunity to kind of go to other places and go to meetings at other organizations and NGOs, and I got to go to meetings like at USIP and things all the time, like exciting things. Whereas when I was at UNICEF, I pretty much stayed in my cubicle for all the 9-to-5. I didn't like have that many opportunities for crossover meetings or things like that were different. In that sense, I think it was more tiring because it was more monotonous. Like it was more of the same over and over again. You might love your 9-to-5 because you love what you're doing, or you might hate it because you're like so bored. I don't dislike the 9-to-5 inherently. I just didn't really love what I was doing. I was doing communications and a lot of social media. I ran a Twitter account, and that's just not what I want to do in the long term. I obviously have a lot of social media experience, which I think got me this position, and like I do my own social media. Clearly I'm talking to you right now on social media, but I think it's different because it's like my own personal brand versus I don't really want to do social media for another organization necessarily. I studied peace and conflict resolution, like it's very different. And so I didn't love the 9-to-5 doing something that I didn't love doing, you know what I mean? I think that's pretty much the bottom line. But whereas at the State Department, like the 9-to-5 didn't really bother me because I was really excited to go and do the things and learn new things and go to different meetings and things. I got a lot of questions about dream job / career goals, my professional future, what do you envision? And I think the biggest thing I've learned, especially in the last 2 years since I graduated undergrad and went to grad school and have tried out interning and working in different places, I think what I've learned is that there's really no such thing as a dream job, because every job in the description and what you perceive it to be is so different in reality, and you can't really know until you're there. Basically, my idea of a dream job has changed a lot. I used to think I wanted to be a foreign service officer, and then I met a bunch of foreign service officers when I worked at the State Department, and I was like, maybe this isn't the lifestyle for me. And then I was like, okay, maybe I just want to, I always thought like, oh, I want to work for the UN. Like it's so great to work for an international organization, like all these countries collaborating on things. And I don't know, the more I learned about it, it just changes. Like I don't know what my dream job is right now, because I think what's become more apparent to me as I've like worked in different organizations that for so long in my head were like the dream, the end all be all. What's more important for me is working on my dream issue and my passion projects, and rather than the role, the label that's on them. Like if I'm able to do more for, say, like empowering women in rural communities to make their own money in a way of peace building, like that's just like a that probably didn't mean anything to a lot of you. If I'm able to do more for that working in a like very small NGO rather than as like a high up in the State Department necessarily, like I would rather do that and be working on something that's more fulfilling and I can see the change than just having this like fancy role. I think that's basically what I've learned. Just growing up too, you learn that things are not always how you envisioned in your head, and like working at the UN means so much in so many different capacities. I still would be happy going back to the State Department, I think, at this point, but I don't know. I also really liked working in a think tank, so I'd love to go back and work at USIP at some point. But again, my dream jobs aren't like, I don't have an end all be all that I want to get to. I just want to like experience different opportunities and places and roles along the way. So I don't even know if that answered the question. I got a lot of questions asking if I was gonna stay in New York after UNICEF, which I thought was kind of funny because it's like, I signed a 1-year lease at least. So it's now February. Definitely gonna be in New York until end of July because that's when my lease is up. I honestly just don't see myself leaving that soon. Like I feel like I just got here and I'm just starting to experience life in New York, and it's only been what, 6 months now, and that's hardly anything to live somewhere. So I don't know, it's really hard for me to picture myself like up and moving even then, even in July. So I don't know, I feel like I'll stay another year at least. I don't know, it's so hard. Like I know I've talked about this before, I feel like this is kind of redundant, but I feel like there is more opportunity for growth in what I want to do in DC for my career. But at the same time, at this point in my life, like I'm still so young, I'm 24. I have so many years to prioritize that and do that and pursue that and go there. But right now, like one of the biggest things to me that's a priority in my life is like living my young years, like experiencing New York and the people here, and like I can still get experience and find professional fulfillment here. I am staying in New York for the time being, definitely until July, probably after that, but again, like you never know what's gonna happen or pop up or change. So I guess I'll finally address like, what are you doing now? I've kind of been, I don't know, dreading talking about this because I just know that I'm gonna get so many comments criticizing me. But honestly, who cares? Like, this is my life. These are my choices that are affecting my own path. I feel like I've briefly touched on it, but I did kind of stop applying to jobs, and I found myself applying to positions that were still like in advocacy, in communications. There's a lot of that kind of work in New York for at least like organizations that I would want to work in. I had to stop myself and be like, I literally know that I'm not super happy and fulfilled doing this right now for UNICEF, which is like a really amazing organization. I was thinking like, oh, it'd be such an easy transition. Like they could see that I'm doing that right now. And I had to stop myself and be like, I literally know that this isn't what I want to keep building my path on, sir. I decided to take a step back, and honestly, I'm taking a break for the time being, and I'm just doing social media and YouTube and things for at least a couple months. But that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna like go back into what I studied and what I'm passionate about. Like I mentioned that I was tired of working in an office. I got comments on that video that were like, oh my god, I can't believe you're gonna throw away your education just to be another influencer. And I was like, dude, it's not that serious. And also everything is temporary. Like just because I say now that I'm taking a step back and I'm just gonna be doing my own thing while I'm in the unique position to be able to support myself and still live in New York and pay my rent and everything, just doing social media, like I'm gonna take advantage of it and just take some time for myself and travel. I haven't really been able to, I've, you know, done little trips here and there, but I haven't been able to travel and just like have the freedom of living on my own schedule for a bit and spending time with my family. I really want to go back. My parents are selling our house coming up, so I really want to go back and spend like a good chunk of time with them, which I just haven't been able to do. Like it made me so sad when I was legit home for 6 days for Christmas, and then I was like off on a trip, and then I was going back to work and everything. Like I feel like I want to cherish that time that's so special and so important to me, and why not take advantage of a period of my life that is so unique. We're in such a unique position to be able to do this, and I know that it's not going to be forever. I'm not saying that I'm quitting this field and this path to become an influencer and like build my brand for life. Like that's not really what I'm doing here. I know that I have other goals otherwise, and I know that I eventually want to get back into working and probably the 9-to-5 thing again. I've had a lot of time to think about it, and I think what I've realized is that when I first moved to New York, I was in such a hurry to find a job and like do something cool and prove to people. I was trying to prove to people. I didn't realize that this was like a subconscious thing. I was trying to prove that it was worth it for me to uproot myself and move to New York last minute, and I could find a job here and it would all be worth it and all of this, when in reality, like, I didn't need to put that pressure on myself. Honestly, UNICEF was a great learning experience and I met so many cool people through it, and it taught me a lot, and it was good to get some experience working in the UN system for a bit. But at the same time, like day to day, it wasn't what I wanted to do, and I knew when I accepted the position that it was communications and that I was going to be using Twitter and all this, and I knew in my soul that that wasn't what I really wanted to do. But I was just like so excited to be able to say like, oh, I work at UNICEF, like I just moved to New York and blah blah blah, and this is all good and everything is great and so accomplished and all of this, like, that I kind of sacrificed that a little bit. I'm going to be looking at positions and applying and things, but I'm going to take the time to do something I really, really want to do and I really feel in my heart is fulfilling day to day. I'm definitely going to be working and looking for jobs that are more suited towards peace and conflict, policy making kind of things. Will probably take time to do, and I'm happy to have a few months where I'm just doing social media and building my own brand and everything in the meantime. Yeah, I just want to take the time to make sure it's the right thing for me. So, and I remember I talked about how it just felt so unfulfilling when I was in the job search, and I felt like I had just left school and I wasn't learning anything. But I'm definitely going to take the time to seek out opportunities to still challenge myself and put myself in new environments, even in this in-between time. I signed up for a co-working space, which will be a great community. I already am really excited about different events that are going on. Like on Monday, I'm going to an event about the Iowa caucus with one of Hillary Clinton's former caucus advisors, I think was her role. Still putting myself out there in different environments. I really want to try volunteering, maybe do something with like refugees in New York or something like that, where I'm still learning and meeting new people. I don't want to do nothing, but I also want to have a little bit of freedom while I'm still looking for the next thing. So I hope that clears it up for some of you guys. That was a really long-winded thing. I feel like this video is going to be a lot longer than I thought. I got a lot of questions about if I could afford to live in New York without YouTube, like just on my UNICEF pay and everything. And I feel like that's kind of personal, but I will say I wouldn't be able to afford the same lifestyle that I have now. Probably like be living with a roommate on a budget, having to be a lot more conscious of spending if I didn't have YouTube, and I wouldn't really be saving. It would be a lot more difficult. I got a lot of questions about interview tips. I feel like this is a hard question because it's so dependent on where you're interviewing for, like how you fit the role and what they're describing. And I just think the biggest, most universal tip, besides like be yourself, blah, 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 is just do your research and come in genuinely curious about the organization that you're applying to. Come with good questions besides like the typical ones they're expecting, and especially like in the end when they ask if you have any questions, like have some questions. Don't just be like, no, like I am just so excited about it. Like they want you to be curious and passionate and excited about the position and their company. Be passionate about it and really do your research about the place that you want to work. Okay, so I know that wasn't a ton of questions, but I feel like I did want to go more in depth with just a few that I was getting a lot that I kind of wanted to address in the life update style anyway. So that's what's going on, state of affairs in this household, what I'm doing next. I'm really excited about all of the videos that I'm going to make. I have so many more ideas. Like I feel like before I was saying like, oh, I couldn't just do YouTube because like I want to vlog about working. But honestly, there's so many things that I want to do that I just haven't had time, and I've gained so much perspective in the last few months of working and how I've always thought like I could be spending my time doing this and that and all this. Like I feel like when you're doing something that doesn't fulfill you in your soul day to day, you always just think about what you could be doing instead. So I'm excited to explore that. I have a lot of fun ideas coming up. Subscribe if you're not already. Get pumped. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next vlog very soon. Thumbs up if you made it to the end. Okay, bye.